A Simplex converted to a Great Western Railway Prairie Tank Part 63, a test fit of the boiler on the frames to make sure that it works. But first I'm going to fit the brake blocks. This is Loctite 243, which is just a thread locker to hold the nuts in place. I fitted all of the brake blocks and hangers in the same way using small brass washers. This clip shows me applying some 242 before I fit the nut. And as if by magic, the nut suddenly appears. That's one down, 3 to go. I tightened each of the nuts in turn using a socket like this. Today's video is a little bit later than usual because I've been helping my grandson with his homework. Today's homework was easy as it was music, and I know a bit about that. I received a comment from a viewer which puzzled me. This is a clip from the previous episode where I'm tapping the taper pin into the return crank. And here I've just fitted the nut which holds the eccentric rod to the return crank. This is the comment from the viewer. I still haven't a clue which component is the return crank or what it actually does. I really do think that I've shown the return crank in quite a few previous videos on this engine. And I was going to wait until right at the end of the series before I explain how Valshart's or Walshart's valve gear works. At this moment in time there's still quite a lot of work to do to finish this job. But in order not to confuse this viewer any further, I thought I would quickly do a little feature on valve gear parts. I am actually tempted to sing this, but I'm no singer, so I'll give that a miss. Here we go. The return crank is connected to the eccentric rod is connected to the expansion link is connected to the radius rod, and the radius rod is connected to the combination lever, and the combination lever is connected to the anchor link. And the radius rod is moved up and down by the lifting arm. This selects forward gear or reverse gear. I haven't fitted the reversing lever and the reach rod yet, but when I do, that will connect to the reversing arm. As I mentioned, when the engine is finished, I will probably do a detailed explanation on the way Valshart's valve gear works, but not for the moment. I'm only halfway through the job. And just in case any viewers can't wait for my explanation, there are much better explanations online. Please Google Valshart's valve gear. I'll put the spelling on screen. Now it's time to get back to the job. In this clip I'm wrestling with the boiler because it's quite heavy. I'm trying to fit the boiler into the frames and the smokebox simultaneously and at the same time, without trapping my fingers because it is surprisingly heavy. And here's where the fun begins. The first thing that is apparent is that the blast pipe nozzle is too physically big, and also my hand is too physically big to get in there and unscrew it. I think I will improve the design of this particular blast pipe to make it easily removable. This one was based around a very large piece of brass hexagon, which it doesn't need to be. As I intend to put some compressed air into this boiler, it's a good idea to fit the snifting valve. This simple device lets air into the superheater when the engine is coasting. Before any viewers write in to tell me that the smokebox is crooked, yes, oddly enough, I am aware of that. I will look at it in a minute. I was more concerned with fitting this nut to the inlet pipe, and once it bit on the threads, now I can tighten it up with a spanner. For me, this is the least enjoyable part of steam locomotives, messing around in the smokebox. At the moment, the smokebox is fairly clean. But normally a smokebox is a very hostile place. It's full of ash, which is usually mixed with steam oil, and it's very dirty and very grimy. This job took quite a long time. The video is currently running at twice normal speed, and as you can see, it is still taking quite a long time. There's a good depth of thread on the nut and on the steam pipe. At this stage, with my left hand on my mobile phone, I was looking up the Samaritan's phone number. I soon found the number, but thankfully I didn't have to use it because finally the nut was tightened onto the steam pipe. Hooray! And I will also have to do this again when I fit the smokebox for real. This is the time to line everything up. It is absolutely vital that the boiler is fitted squarely into the frames, which it is, and the inner steam dome needs to line up perfectly with the chimney. On the Chinese manufactured 14XX this wasn't the case, and the steam dome was not in line with the chimney. I fixed this problem on the 14XX by drilling the hole in the steam dome slightly off centre, and I don't want to do this on the Simplex, so I'm double checking with a ruler just to make sure everything lines up. When I temporarily fit the steam dome, it's looking like it's going to be okay. Very shortly I will be using my scriber through the holes in the smokebox saddle to make marks on the smokebox where I will drill the holes. And then all I have to do is simply bolt the smokebox to the saddle, a very simple job I hope. In an early episode I decided not to drill the back head of the boiler to accept the firehole door. Instead I made a removable sub-assembly, but now I need to fix this into the hole on the boiler. And to do this I decided to use high temperature silicone sealant. And please note I am not going to splurge this stuff everywhere, just a bead around the part of the assembly that I'm showing. And by doing it this way it should be fairly easy to remove the sub-assembly that holds the firehole door should I ever need to. There is though a slight problem, and I've been aware of this since I actually made the firehole door support. I can't remove the check valves should I need to without removing the firehole door assembly. Now I don't want to do this, but I think I have a simple fix. It's always very important when you build model steam engines, no matter how small or large they are or what type they are, to always make them serviceable items. So I'm going to have to do something to make it so I can remove the check valves independently of the firehole door assembly. I'll leave this one on a bit of a cliffhanger. It's quite a simple fix and I'll be doing it in the next episode. I'd just like to say stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my main Steam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists you can actually watch the videos back to back.